Friends, many brothers, good day. I hope that we are all safe. I hope that we are all journeying together in our daily lives to support each other, to help each other. We know that with the easing of restrictions, we now seems as if COVID is no longer with us. Let us continue to be safe and be mindful of the safety of others and taking precaution. We continue to pray for Palestine, continue to pray for Ukraine, for peace to prevail in each and every corner of the earth. We always sing Shalom because we believe in the peace of the Lord. And so, friends, we started last week briefly with the Gospel of Luke, which is the third of the Synoptic Gospels, and which is the focus gospel this year. And we are excited in starting the Gospel of Luke. Luke takes a different approach to the other two. Remember, we said that the source of the Synoptic Gospel, which is Matthew, Mark, and Luke, is the same, and we believe that the source is Mark. And so we hope that as Luke explores, he says that many people have been giving an eyewitness account. And so he gives his witness account and he addresses it to Theophilus. And so some scholars say Theophilus was a disciple of Jesus Christ. And we know that Luke as well wrote the book of Acts, and he also addressed it to Theophilus. We hear about this Theophilus in the book of Acts. But some say the word Theophilus means the beloved or the God's beloved. And so others will say, no, Luke was addressing a group of believers who were devout at that time. And that is key because Luke's gospel, his main focus is the Gentiles, is the non-Jewish people. That is his audience, that is what he's focusing on. And we will see how he differs in writing some of the things with especially Matthew. And so he himself was a Gentile, and yet he has an eyewitness account of the things that were happening in the life of Jesus. But he uses Mark as a source in terms of some of his stories that he writes about and that he explores. And so the first thing that is different with Luke is his introduction to his gospel. So he says he gives the eyewitness account. Many have written the eyewitness account, and he goes straight into the birth of John. He doesn't give us the genealogy of Jesus like Matthew does. He goes straight into the birth of John. And there are two key words which I want us to note in these first 7 chapters of Luke. There are two key words. One is all. All. A-double-L. All. That is it's not a word, in fact. That is just an adjective or that which precede a word, and in all the instances where all is used, where Luke uses this all, is when he speaks about it, either salvation or the Holy Spirit. So I want us to know this all: Holy Spirit, salvation. And secondly, I want us to understand. So I want us to understand that Luke focuses on salvation and Holy Spirit, but the emphasis is on all. Because he's speaking to a group of people who most of the time did not feel the salvation and the Holy Spirit that Jesus preached also impacted them. And that's why the emphasis of all is very important. Holy Spirit, salvation. And so how do we come to the conclusion that Luke is writing to the Gentiles or the non-Jews? It's because Luke, in a patriarchal text, Luke is one gospel that writes more about women than any other gospels. Even in chapter 2, we already hear about the prophet Anna, who was woman. And so he speaks about women and their involvement in ministry more than any other gospel. He speaks about children more than any other gospel. He speaks about the poor and marginalized more than any other gospel. And who were the poor? Who were the non-blessed? The non-blessed were those who were poor, were those who were marginalized. And so Luke's focus is on these people which are regarded as they are not blessed. And so he speaks about Gentiles more than any other gospel. And so Luke's focus is on a group of people whom historically have been deemed unclean, have been deemed unbelievers, have been deemed barbarians, have been deemed as the outcasts. And Matthew focuses his message on them because Luke wants them to understand salvation and Holy Spirit, and that all can experience salvation and all must live a spirit-filled life. And so in chapter 2, verse 30, Luke already says, when Jesus was taken into the temple by this devout holy man, he says, this man Solomon in the temple, when he's blessing Jesus, I have seen the salvation which you, 80-year-old Jesus, that you have prepared for all people. I have seen the salvation which you have prepared for all people. And he goes on to say, all people will see the salvation. All people will see the salvation. I have seen the salvation which you have prepared for all people. Mind-blowing. These words just summarizes what Luke is trying to portray. And throughout his gospel, he emphasizes on the all. John Wesley, in his theological reflection on salvation, because every generation has a group of people or people which we find ways to exclude when it comes to God's salvation. Every generation. And so John Wesley also had a generation which felt they were not part of God's salvation. And they were the poor, they were the marginalized. And so John Wesley said, no, but all people must be saved. All people can be saved. All people can know that they are saved. All people can be saved to the uttermost. And later, it was added a fifth all that all people can be witnesses, because we know about salvation. We know about the power of the Holy Spirit. But do we know that all people are included? And so, hence, right from the beginning, Luke speaks about mountains and hills being leveled. Because those who are regarded as low and least become part of this. Caves and blocks are being straightened. Rough places are being smooth. So stumbling valleys will be filled. So stumbling blocks will be taken away, will be taken out, will be dealt with. And so in our living, in our doing of God's ministry, in our churches, in our lifestyles, do we emphasize all? If today women are being slaughtered, children are being slaughtered, LGBTIQ communities are being excluded and slaughtered, at the pedestals, in the pews, in the verandas of the church, in the yards of the church. And we justify it by saying, but we need profit for the church to run. We don't need profit for the church to run. We need to make everyone believe that you are part of the all. And God's church will run. We need people, we need God's creation to feel, to experience the message of the all. Because if the message of the all is not experienced, it doesn't matter how much profit we make, the church will be dead. All have seen the salvation which you have prepared for all people. All people will see the salvation. Be filled with the Holy Spirit. Be filled with the Holy Spirit, and nothing will be impossible, because then you will be the living light bearers, which says to the drenched, tired young lady in the streets of Devonport that you are also part of the all. To the men who are abusing young women who are vulnerable because of life's challenging and making sure that they end up in street, that you are part of the all. To the church that rather build higher walls then open up so that all may come in, that you also, church, you are part of the all. So go tell people that you have been graced by God. Friends, have a wonderful week filled with God's Spirit, so that all people may realize God's salvation. Thank you.